Welcome to session 2 of day 1 of this 5-part series. I'm so freaking excited that you're here. Welcome to Sales, the Leadership Standard. I'm your host, Sarah Buckland. If you're brand new here, sales coach and business mentor for 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs. And this is part 2 of this 5-part sales sprint that I'm delivering over today and tomorrow on a range of different topics on the 5 core pillars inside premium sales. So today, because day 1's focus is all about the strategy and identity piece, what's happening behind the scenes, and then tomorrow we've got the focus on execution and conversion. And so we've already looked at the part 1 was your premium offer and creating that excellent service. We cannot move forwards. We cannot go past go without that piece. Shout out if you were here watching live for part 1. Love to see you welcoming back, coming back for part 2. If you're brand new, this is your first session, welcome. You can go back, watch the replay from part 1. Excuse me. Now, today we're getting into, or in part 2, we're getting into messaging and positioning. Now, before I dive into the good stuff, I wanted to give you a little explanation if you're wondering why there's 5 parts. And it's because when I was coming up with this challenge, I was looking at the letters of sales. Now, I know that I deliver excellence as a given anyway. As you know, you should know the same thing about your business, but also you want to deliver it in a way that's fun or different or that people aren't doing or that's fun for you to create as the host. And so I looked at the actual letters in sales and I was like, what if I was to create a 5-part experience with each of the letters of sales embodying a core pillar of sales? And so we've already had S, which was part 1, which is about that service, how you're creating your excellent service, how you're packaging that up inside a premium offer, and you're leading as a point of service and excellence. And therefore, premium sales will come easily to you because you're giving so much more than you're asking. Now, part 2 is A, and you might be like, how does messaging and positioning come into A? I'll tell you how, honey. It comes under authority. I was toying as to whether to do audience and authority or authority. I decided to lean with authority because audience is going to come in. Because authority for me breaks down into 2 different parts, which we're going to touch on today. It breaks down into messaging and it breaks down into positioning, and we need both parts. So we're going to be touching on, well, going into depth inside both of those parts today. So really freaking excited. Now, if you're new around here, make sure that you've gone, catched up on the replay for the first part. And if you're live here, say hello in the chat. So good to see you. And if you're catching the replay, hello as well. Leave a comment underneath about which part you liked, which bit landed for you. Leave us a heart, a comment. And I can't wait to read them after. Now, so we've talked about the sales, like all of the letters, which lets you know what's coming because we've got the L, the E, the S, but coming into the A for authority. So by the end of this session, you will be able to understand the deep understanding required of your clientele to be able to create messaging that signs 10K, 20K, 50K buyers without needing a sales call. When you deliver that level of depth, that level of nuance, and that you demonstrate that you understand your audience, there you go, there's that A. Coming in, you understand your level of buyer at that deep level to the point that they can look at that messaging and instantly recognize that they are in the presence of someone who knows them at least as well as they know themselves, if not better, because your expertise can see the things that they can't see. That's where you get instant yeses, easy buyers, as in people who can come effortlessly into your high ticket offers without needing a whole lot of backwards and forwards or explanation or questions or anything like that, because they know they are in the presence of someone who gets them. And so by the end of the session, you'll be able to get that. We'll get into the deep level of understanding required and you'll know how to position yourself at the top tier of your industry. Be an industry leader so that buyers who are happy to invest in high ticket offers, those 5, 10, 15, 20, 50K offers, are happy to invest at that level because they know just from your positioning that they are in the presence of someone who builds instant credibility with them. Like that trust, that certainty is instantly built. They know they're in the presence of someone that they can trust. Yeah. So you'll walk away from this session knowing how to position yourself not just as an authority, because I feel like that word gets bandied around a lot, but really as like the excellence in the industry. And knowing then how to create messaging that shows the deeper level of nuance and understanding that you have for your audience and how you can help them. Okay, so session two, build your authority through premium messaging and positioning. And so breaking this down, because to me, authority is both internal and external, as in internal is how you see yourself. For this session, we're going to be focusing on the external part because the external is the strategy, whereas the internal part is how you see yourself. And so we're actually going to be touching on that in session three, taking place today at 6 p.m. This is your embodied leadership. So we're going to be getting into the internal of how you see yourself and how you demonstrate that solid leadership and how this comes into your authority. But for this exercise, this session, we're focusing on the external, as in how you position yourself. Your authority is your external positioning. It's where you sit in the market against your peers, against people who do what you do, against all of the other options that are out there for your audience, your buyers, your clientele. It's how your authority is how the market, how your buyers, how your audience experience you. It's made up of things like your messaging, perception, thought leadership. It's not vibes, vanity metrics. It's you getting to the heart, being direct, being specific, being clear, and being embodied. This is the thing that takes people from good to great. This is the thing that takes people from taking up space in the industry and just being like a player, a participant, like an also ran as something that my parents would say, someone that was there, versus someone who is visibly ahead, levels above everybody else, premium. When we're talking about you creating this leadership standard, being a clear leader from the get-go and people knowing that from that 3-second impression, it comes from you having strong embodied authority. So this is the thing that takes you from good to great or good to industry leading. And so it's things like you being perceived as the obvious choice. It's things like pricing and talking about money and investments without flinching or being weird or having body language that is blocking what you're saying or shows that you're visibly uncomfortable with the things that you're talking about. It's things like being willing to lead and host and start conversations instead of just taking part in other people's or following trends or following what other people are doing. It's being the leader, not the follower. And it's selling from certainty, not convincing. Whoop. Is this landing for you? Let me know in the chat. I love this stuff. And it was something that, for me, when I was in sales, was really, really anchoring this stuff in because I'm sure when I was newer in learning sales, there was probably a little bit of, I wouldn't say convincing because I always loved what I was doing. And so it never felt like I was convincing anyone of anything. But there was probably a little bit more of going through my USPs, as in like, here are the top 3 benefits of the event, or the sales script of this is what you say to demonstrate how this product is good. Whereas when you're a few years in and you've anchored in your expertise, you know the benefits and the excellence and what it brings to the table and what you bring to the table and how you do it differently. Like you know that stuff inside out. And so you give off a very different energy. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't give off that energy, is it because you just don't know the benefits of your offer and service to an extent of, and like this isn't really grounded in you, like, oh my God, my thing is the best thing since sliced bread, and here's why? Or is there something else? Is it just that you're newer in business and we haven't got this level of like grounded conviction just yet? Or is there something else like there's a reason why this isn't coming through? Because authority is grounded conviction and how we put this into your positioning and messaging. The reason why this is so important is when we look at the principles of sales psychology, and there's 6 principles of sales psychology, um, authority is one of them. It's one of the things that people need to see in order to make an informed and easy buying decision. So especially when we're talking about premium offers, premium experiences, people coming into your high ticket offers, it's essential that they see you as an authority and that they respect you as a credible expert. If that piece isn't there, they're far less likely to buy. Not saying it's impossible, but if they don't respect you as an authority, if they don't see you as an expert who their investment is safe in your hands, then why would they buy when it's so easy these days to find somebody else who does embody that? They'll be able to find competitors of yours, they'll be able to find peers of yours, they'll be plenty able to find somebody else who does what you do. Might not do it exactly how you do it, but if they have higher trust in that other person because they see them as a more credible expert, because that authority is built, they are more likely to invest in that person. To give you an example of this, I was inside a room November. Woo! Just nearly fell off the back of my chair. In November. And I didn't know much about the speaker. I knew that he was seen and respected from my mentors and people that I know and see and respect. So he came, I was new to his world, but he came well respected. And so I was intrigued. I also knew from people that had taken this training that there was going to be a solid sales pitch in there. I knew that going in. So I was intrigued. As a sales coach, I love to be sold to. There is always more to learn. Anyway, going into that 4-day experience, my God, were we sold to. I both equal part loved and hated that. I think you take you take what you want. I love to be sold to because there is always more to learn. And I love to see mastery in action. Did I believe that that particular experience was mastery? No, it wasn't my cup of tea. Did I learn a shitload more about sales? Yes, I did. And so you take the parts that you like and you leave the parts that you don't. Anyway, coming to the end of this experience, in that it was 4 days, not 3. Over that 4 days, and bear in mind, everyone had arrived as strangers, brand new to his world, as far as I know. I certainly was. And over those 4 days, training was delivered, really high value. And the piece that I want to get at is A, there was an insane amount of value. So when you lead with 3 things, we trigger another of the sales psychology principles. I'll go over all 6 in a second, but authority being one, but reciprocity is another. And so he had gone over and above to deliver excellence for free. And so when the ask comes at the end, you're far more likely to say yes, because what you've experienced is far better than most people's paid containers, and you've just had it for free. So we have this, the law of reciprocity means that we feel a natural indebtedness to return something, and if not more, than the thing that we've received for free. And so there's the law of reciprocity playing up here. But the biggest thing, in fact, I'm just looking at the 6 now. In fact, so many of these were present, but the loudest ones, reciprocity was a loud one. Authority, he did so much to weave little things in throughout the 4 days that really built his authority massively. And so when you're in the presence of someone that does that and repeatedly does it and does it to a really high level, then the price point of what the ask is at the end of that experience sort of becomes irrelevant, because you know you're in the presence of someone who only they can do what they do to the level that they do it. And so when the ask came at the end and the price points, which were insane, but also not, because of the level of experience that he delivered over this 4 days. Now, something that I want to touch on here before getting into the messaging and positioning piece is one of the key ways that he built a lot of authority during that experience was one of the other sales psychology principles, which is social proof. And this is, we like to see others having gone first. It's a lot more nerve-wracking for you as a buyer when you're thinking about who you want to invest in, what your own likelihood of success and results are, in terms of any container or any journey that you're about to go on. If you can see that 100 or 1,000 people have walked that path before you and most have got epic results, you're going to be far more likely and far more open to proceed feeling in safe hands than if you can see that either nobody has walked that route before, or it's a brand new offer, or that there's not a lot of existing client results in that space. So let's say someone is really good at positioning themselves as authority, but there's not a lot of social proof underneath it, like underpinning that, then this is where we start to see that actually the difference between someone just being good at sales and marketing and good at saying that they're a leader and good at saying all these things they can do, but the evidence isn't saying the same thing. Evidence is such a huge piece when it comes to sales. And so take this with you. Take this with you. Embed this into your own, like your sales, your content. Are you providing enough social proof? Are you, during this session and as you're going on throughout your journey, as you're refining things when it comes to your messaging, your positioning, how you're putting yourself as an authority, are you spending also enough focus on, have I actually got enough client testimonials that back up what I'm saying? It's all good for me to be saying these things. Can I back it up? What are my usable client stories? What are the results that I've delivered for other people? How can I reassure more people in my audience who need to see, because there's lots of different buyer types in your audience, and the people first people need to see what your usable, not your usable stories, as in your existing client stories. They need to hear the stories or see the stories or understand the stories of people that have gone before them. And there's, in fact, all four buyer types need to see this. Yes, there's two that are massively more driven by storytelling and case studies and things like that. But even the non-people first two types, the people that are driven by fact rather than people and emotion, they still need evidence. They still need case studies. They still need to see the proof that what you say works and your process does work, and they want to see the evidence of that. So all four buyer types, the more social proof you can post, the easier your sales is going to be. And if you haven't yet got a lot of social proof, that's your evidence to go back and listen to part 1 about creating an excellent service, delivering an excellent service that allows your clients to get excellent results with you. So, touching on those 6 principles of sales psychology, authority is one, as in people are far more likely to come ahead, as in move ahead, buy from you, if you're a clear authority, if you're someone that they see as an authority figure, whether that's a leader, whether that's because you've got a title, whether that's because you've got certain accomplishments or certain certifications, you're someone that they see as a leader in your industry, they are more likely to buy from you. We've also got reciprocity. So when you're giving something away for free, when you're demonstrating either in your free or your low ticket offers, or especially your high ticket offers, you're giving so much value that people will feel that natural pull to want to come and reciprocate with you. The third point we talked about there was social proof, as in you will build so much more authority the more that you demonstrate social proof. Because people like to see what others are doing inside your world. You know that phrase about jumping on the bandwagon? How can you show that there's already a lot of people either on your bandwagon right now or have come through your bandwagon? And so the more that you can do that, the more it eliminates risk and fear for people who are looking to invest in you. More social proof and more stories and more case studies that you share, the more that it reduces the investment fear and the risk of things not working, that fear that people have. It really reduces that if they can just see case study, case study, case study. So just to show what the other ones are, the other principles. So one is commitment, as in if people commit to someone, that they are more likely to continue with that person. It's easier to say yes again to someone that they already know than it is to go and find somebody else and build that new relationship. This is why, um, when we look at sales, as in you've got your new customer attraction versus your existing customer retention, this is the key piece. You might have heard me say before, retaining an existing customer is something like 5 times easier or 5 times less effort than going to find new customers. And so there's a huge imbalance here because so many people focus so much energy on the attraction of new customers. And yet, if there was more of a focus on delivering a service that was excellent so that your existing customers stayed, then your client base would naturally grow. For every new person, let's say for every 2 people you sign, one, if not both of those, stay in your world long term, your client pack will grow, as will your authority, as will your social proof, because of this second principle of sales psychology being commitment. People want to find their tribe. They want to find the people who get them, find the people who understand them, build relationships that matter. And so once they've committed to you once, whether that's they signed up for a freebie, maybe they came along to something low ticket, maybe they listened to your podcast, maybe they listened to your YouTube, maybe they did a one-off session with you. But that relationship and trust is already built. It's far easier than to come into your mid, high ticket offers from there. Or I'm going to caveat this to say, when you create messaging, which we're coming on to, that is so deep and nuanced that someone can land on your free content and get so much value from that, that they can see that your high ticket offer is completely worth it. They don't need to try you on in all these other areas. They're people that will happily come into your high ticket offer without needing to have signed up for something, be in your community, have bought a low ticket offer first. And I'll put my hand up to say I'm one of them. For every mm, yes for that mastermind, yes for that mastermind, no for that mastermind. Okay, so of the 3 high ticket masterminds that I've invested in recently, for 2 of them, I came out of nowhere and signed up to a 15 to 25K product, just thinking of the different price points, with no warm up, no low ticket offer. I was just like, sign me up. So, touching on the last ones of those sales psychology principles. So we talked about reciprocity, we've talked about commitment, we've talked about social proof, we've talked about authority. The fifth one is likeness. So the more someone likes you, the more likely they are to buy from you. Now, I'm going to caveat this because this is true for certain buyer types, not all. And it only makes someone more likely to buy from you. It doesn't guarantee it. And for some people, they actually don't need to like you to respect you. This is where, when someone sees you as an authority, you don't have to be fully aligned on all of your values, on all of the things that matter to you. On obviously, that's preferential. When we're talking about who are our dream clients and who are our most premium clients, and really, really like aligned are going to be enjoyable to work with. Of course, we want people who are aligned with values, personality, and ideally, you like each other and get on. Is it essential that someone likes you to buy from you? No. I've bought courses, programs, and I would say mastermind, from someone or from people that I didn't like, but I respected that they were great at what they did. So people don't have to like you to be a premium client, be respectful in your space, to pull up a chair, to learn from you, and to be a great client. So, gonna share that with you. Is it more ideal, as in if you share things that are important to you, important to your life, if someone shares those things in common, they're more likely to be a premium buyer or more likely to buy from you because they've got those things in common. Yes. Is it essential? No. There we go. Just makes someone more likely because you've got those things in common. And then lastly is scarcity. And then we're getting into the meat and bones of this one. And so scarcity is when you create some sort of limited time offer. If people believe that the supply of a certain offer or the availability of a certain offer is ending soon, either because that's a certain number of spots, maybe it's a certain date deadline, there's a certain amount of finite capacity for this thing, then people are more likely to move because it's either going to run out or it's going to finish or it might end early. And so of those principles, the more that you can get of those, if not all six, the easier you will have premium sales and sales of all levels coming through. So coming back into authority being the key piece there and underpinned with a lot of those. So positioning yourself as an authority, leading conversations instead of chasing them or being involved in them. We want to sell from certainty, not convincing. It's pricing without flinching. It's offers that speak of excellence, not just like filling filling the void. And it's being perceived as the obvious choice. And that being a reflection, an accurate reflection, not just, a vision of yourself that you've tried to create. This is based on integrity. This is based on your leadership. So why is authority necessary? And then we'll come into positioning, messaging, getting into the nuance there. Authority is necessary because A, there's a million other people who do what you do. So how are you setting yourself apart in this competitive space? And I'm not just talking about your content here, I'm talking about how you position yourself, how you are anchoring yourself as industry leading. Your authority and your influence are what makes you stand out in a competitive space. People have far too many options to be able to choose from. And that nowadays, especially now, with the amount of content that we see, the amount of platforms available, the amount of marketing messages that we see, people being able to shop between other choices has never been easier. So it's never been more important for you to position yourself as the no-brainer investment and as the obvious choice so that they don't need to go and either check other people or sit with the decision. Like they know once they've arrived in your space that you have something for them, can help them, and are ready to. Authority builds trust, and trust drives sales. We buy from people we trust. In the good old know, like, and trust trio, the KLT factor. I remember first hearing about the KLT factor back in 2019, before I'd even started the business, when I was first learning about how to set up an online business and coming across the whole, you need to build know, like, and trust. Now, it's very easy, as we've talked about like the know and the like, because the more that you get visible, the more that you get yourself out there, the more that you talk about the things that are important to you, you can build those know and like factors. But this trust piece is where you being the authority and the leader in your industry, from the things that we've talked about, reciprocity, commitment, social proof, this is what separates you from everybody else. We want to build trust, a high amount of trust in as short amount of time as possible. So you demonstrate authority by things like calling out what your ideal client is thinking before they say it or before they even know to think it themselves. This is how you'll spend less time needing to claim that you're an authority when you demonstrate it. To demonstrate your authority and demonstrate your expertise and demonstrate your leadership and how your levels above your peers by calling things out in your content and your messaging that your ideal client is either thinking or feeling that they didn't even know about themselves. Demonstrate your nuanced understanding of your audience. Name problems they didn't even realize they had. Lead them to decisions that either they were already thinking about or are already circling around, or had not even got as far as those conclusions, and you're able to show them why those things matter or why those things are important and why now, not later. So you don't claim authority, you demonstrate it. Spend less time telling people why you're the best and more time showing people why you're the best. Call out what people think, need, see before they do. Name problems they didn't know they had. Lead people to decisions that either they were thinking about making or weren't even aware of was the decision they needed to make. So let's break it down into the two parts. We've got positioning. I'm going to do positioning first and then come into messaging because you need to put your positioning into your messaging. So positioning. How are we doing, by the way? Let me know in the chat. Is this resonating for you? Is this landing for you? What have you heard, experienced? What has been, have you had a light bulb moment dropping in? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments box. Is there something that you're like, I needed to hear this today, or this bit is landing for me today? Or do you know what? I knew some of this, but I've not heard it at this level, or I can anchor it better and implement it better into the business because of this reminder. Sales and any level of business, growth, scaling, expertise, it's like an onion, isn't it? So even if you might have heard some of this stuff before and you're inside my masterminds, we would have talked about this, and you might have taken trainings from me in the past where we've talked about building your authority. But for every level of business that you get to, there's a new level of ownership, expertise, embodied authority that comes through. So we want to make sure that that is being demonstrated in your positioning and your messaging. So let's get into that. So positioning is where your product, as in your offer or your service, where it stands in relation to other similar offers, products, services in your marketplace. And not just where it sits, but where it sits in the mind of your customer. Hopefully, those are two similar things, but they might be wildly apart. If you haven't yet done market research into this, well worth doing market research, because if your perception of how you're positioned is one thing, but in the eyes of your customer, in the eyes of your ideal client, they see you as completely different, that's going to be really damaging for your brand, your sales, your cash flow, because there's massive unalignment. Perhaps you think you're positioned as premium, but your ideal client is looking at you thinking that you're underpricing your high ticket offers, and they go spend more money with someone that's actually positioned higher because they've got higher trust in that person because the price point was higher. Imagine what that would do. And unless you're going and doing market research and asking people, you have no idea about this. So hopefully the gap between what your customer thinks you are or where they are, where you are, versus where you think you are in the marketplace, hopefully those things are at a similar level. But if not, we need to change that. We're going to get into actually how to do that. And so this is where you sit in the market against your peers. It's how the market experiences you. So things that form that perception, it's things like the content that you create, the language that you use, both written, spoken, how many ums and ahs you use. It's the branding that you use. It's the level of photography and videography that you use. It's your price points, how accessible you are or not accessible you are, how premium you are versus how appealable you are. It's your level of certainty, your level of conviction, how grounded you are versus how unsure you are. It's things like your body language. So when you're either on video, whether you're on a live, whether you are even in photography, if you've got awkward body language, as in you don't back yourself, you don't see yourself as an industry leader, having high-end brand photos won't help because you'll still be captured in your awkwardness. It might help a little bit, but ultimately, if your body language is expressing that you don't have grounded level conviction of, I'm the freaking best at what I do, that energy, that body language will come through. And so body language is, sorry, like talking about body language whilst shifting, I'm aware that that isn't ideal, but this seat is quite uncomfortable. And we have got 3 sessions to go. It's all good. I'll do some cartwheels in between. So your body language, this is things like your stance, how front on you are, how much you fidget. your hands, your eye contact, how willing you are to hold silences, how willing you are to host, how much you use filler language or your ums and ahs, how you either block your language or cover your face or like block that volume for coming through versus how you sit with your shoulders back and hold that space. So all of these things, content, branding, pricing, offers, all of those external things and the internal things like your body language and your self-perception, all of those things are things that all come together to form how somebody else sees you. So when we're looking at your positioning in the market, it's both how you position yourself, but how other people see you. Yeah. And so there's not a simple 5-step process for you to be able to nail your positioning. This this energy is seeping into everything that you do. And so if you are if you are already good, but you want to be great, if you want to move from great and you want to go to excellent, if you want to be industry leading, if you want to become the standard in your industry, we need to make sure that your positioning in terms of everything that you do is excellent. So have a little look through that list that I just talked about. Go through things from your front of house. If you were viewing this as your ideal customer, if you were looking at your brand, your offers, your sales pages, your website, your content, however they can find you online or in person, what assumptions might they make about your brand based on what they can see? Now, go and do this exercise yourself, but 100% go and ask other people. What are the impressions that they get about you and the level of expertise that you bring to the table based on what they can see? This might be a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, but it is worthwhile doing. And if you haven't done it in a little while, go and do it. So when we're thinking about your positioning, what do you want to be known for? How do you want to be seen in the industry? What do you want to be remembered for? If you're wanting to become, an internationally known brand, like a global brand, if you want to have clients who are all over the world, who span every continent, if you want to be a household name, if you want to be a CEO with a team of 10, 20, 50 people, you need to start showing up as her now and demonstrating that level of intention and seriousness. And then also, what are your core brand values? So we're thinking about building this global brand and you becoming the standard in your industry. Part of that is you taking ownership and being very clear, very open about what your core brand values are and what your personal values are. If you want people from all over the world to be aligning with you, what are they aligning with? What are the things that you stand for? What are the things that you give a fuck about? Where do you draw your line in the sand? What are the things that are important to you? The more that you speak on these everywhere, the more that your people can come through, see you as someone that speaks up about things that they're passionate about. So wrapping that up, premium positioning is you looking at your brand through the eyes of your customer. If you want to be seen as premium, you not only need to look elevated, you need to be elevated. So through everything, your offers, your messaging, your price points, the directness that you use in your language, your content, your willingness to speak your truth. Now, bringing this into messaging. This is such a juicy topic. This could have been a whole training in itself, but anyway, I'm going to come in because messaging is something that so many people are held back by. Their brilliance isn't fully communicated in a way that demonstrates their excellence. And so this could be the biggest cock blocker for a lot of you out there. So let's get into it. You understanding your audience to a really, really deep level is where your most nuanced and most effective messaging comes from. It comes from really deeply understanding your audience. Audience is the root of everything. Your ideal client and their experience is the root of everything. If you understand your ideal client, your audience, your content will convert. if you deeply understand them. If you speak their language, you'll sound like an authority without having to try. If you know what either excites them to buy or triggers them to buy, what are the things that are important and matter to them, then sales will feel easy and not never pushy. If somebody is looking to invest in your high ticket offers, your 10K, 20K, 50K offers, unless you're demonstrating that you understand them to a deep level in your content, they're not going to buy from you. Why would they? How is someone who likes to invest in high ticket experiences, wants a high level experience, they need to be able to land on your page, whatever social media platform you're using, it doesn't matter. They need to come land to your page and see that you know what you're talking about. Authority is instantly built, as in they see you as a trusted and respected leader. And they can see from your messaging that you get them. You understand them. You get them on a deep level. So let's get into a couple of messaging mistakes that you might be making. Some uncomfortable truths here. Let me know which of these are landing for you. You're not clear on the transformation a client actually gets from you. Not on a deep, deep level, in a way that matters to them. Perhaps you're not clearly explaining the value of the offer in an emotional sense, not just a logical sense, not just what it fixes or what it solves, but what that will mean to them in the long run. Perhaps your messaging is way too vague. You're using stuff like level up, gain confidence, get clear, and that isn't landing at all. And you know that because it sounds like everybody else out there. The irony of when people say it helps you get clear and gain clarity, and both of those statements do neither of the thing that they describe. Perhaps your lack of clarity and confidence around the outcome is showing. It's showing in your messaging. Perhaps you're not clear on what makes you different. All of these things will be clear from your messaging. If any of those apply, and let me know if A, B, C, D, or E there is landing for you and you're like, guilty, let me know in the comments. So, some more cash cock blockers. Let's get into these. If these things are happening, you are 100% denying yourself from clients of all levels, but especially premium clients. So, lack of specificity, aka waffle. Are you waffling in your messaging? Are you taking too long to say what you need to say? Lack of confidence, that conviction isn't there, that certainty isn't there. Limiting language. Are you using language that overly excuses, downplays, holds you back, holds your clients back, babies people? It's unnecessary. The more you use limiting language, 100% the more you are costing yourself so many clients, so many sales, so many lives changed. And I'm going to say, I see this from industry experts, people who are great at what they do and still use limiting language. Some more cash blockers coming through here, unclear value. We need to get better at communicating through your messaging what the value of your offers and your client experience and the real transformation that you can deliver for clients. Empty promises. We talked about having evidence, the more social proof that you can deliver, the more it's not going to feel like empty promises. That trust will be there. And then lastly, the lack of integrity. And that is prevalent throughout all of the online space. So avoid those things. Now, I'm going to start, before we dive into the nuances of messaging, I'm going to start with a broad overview and then we'll get into the good stuff of the actual depth. But on an overarching level, there's 3 things that people want, that they have always wanted, that they will always want. These are like the marketing gold dust. We're talking about messaging for millions, when we're talking about building brands that can scale to 7 and 8 figures, when we're talking about building legacies that will stand the test of time, when we're talking about you building an empire that serves people across every continent, when we're talking about solving a real need or problem for people, whether it's inside your community, your county, your country, your continent, when we're talking about that level of need, there's only three things that people want. Do you know what they are? Those three things are health, wealth, happiness. Those are the golden three in marketing. Every product that you see being sold anywhere fits into one of those three things. It fits into two, but in terms of its marketing, it will answer one. It might fit into two categories, but they will lead with one, because people are always and have throughout time spent money on those things, improving their health, improving their wealth, or improving their happiness. It's why dating coaches, relationship coaches, family things, relationship things, that's under the happiness and love bracket. It's why in business, that wealth thing, so people are always looking for more clients or more cash or saving time. Those are all come under the building wealth. And then in terms of health, it's why things like nutritionists, losing weight, fat loss, all three of those markets will be markets forever. They are things that will never go out of fashion. Those things that they stand the test of time. So when you're looking at your service or offering, or how you can make sure that your messaging really lands in the most obvious way, which of those three categories does it fit into? Are you helping people with their health? Are you helping people with their wealth? Or are you helping people with their happiness? I'm going to go into the wealth one in a little bit more detail, because a lot of you listening here are inside has a service that impacts the business sector. And if I was to really simplify within these, just that one, the biggest thing that people want, there's two things here. They want to save time and make money. That is what every business owner wants. They might have a list of other things they want to achieve, but the biggest thing, and this is for every business owner, is they want to make more money and do it in less time. So how can your product, offer, service, solution tell them how they can either save more time or make more money? Now, I could stop this messaging lesson here, because that alone gives you enough. But I won't, because we're going deep. We're getting into the nuance here. So go back, rewatch that, anchor it in. Does your content say this? Does your sales page say this? Do your emails make this clear? Does everywhere that you're marketing your offers, are you showing people how they can achieve either those three categories, health, wealth, happiness, or if you're inside the improving people's wealth sector, are you showing people how you can either help them save time or make more money? Let me know in the chat if this is landing and you're do you know what? I've got a little bit off piste, or I've been marketing inside multiple of those sections, and that's why it's confusing people. Perhaps you've been guilty of claiming that you can help them with all three, in which case there might be some over-promising and under-delivering going. And it might be that your service does genuinely help with them with all three, but focus on one. Go all in one area, and it will just allow you to land and stand out so much better. So, how does your messaging clearly tell them, not just tell them, clearly tell them how they can achieve that result with you? Whether it's improved health, improved wealth, improved happiness. How does your messaging tell them that they can clearly achieve that with you? We want to create messaging that speaks to people's soul, not just their logical brain, because people buy through emotions before logic. And so we want to appeal to people's emotions. Let's get into the how. I was explaining this with one of my clients recently, she's a logical thinker. And so this wasn't coming naturally to her. And I was explaining that sales typically And its former explanations used to do the what, how, why, as in you would explain what the thing is, how it works, and then why it was important when you were talking about your offer with a potential client. We've now switched that back, as in flip that on its head. If you haven't already, I tell this to everyone, go and watch the Simon Sinek video called Start With Why. It's an absolute game changer. And this is something that we were shown in sales. When was I in sales? About 2015. So yeah, 10 years ago. What? Um, it's an absolute golden video. Well worth going to. And it's called The Golden Circle. And it's about how all of the industry leading brands flipped this process on its head, started with the why, and then the how and the what came after. And the reason why this works is that when you lead with why it's important or why your customer needs this, or that deep value stuff or deep emotional stuff, then how it works and the what it is become irrelevant. Because if people are bought in on a deep soul level, it doesn't actually matter what the thing is or how you're delivering it because they're already in. They're bought in on a soul level. So when someone's bought in at that sort of level, it doesn't matter whether it's a 50 quid masterclass or a 50 grand mastermind, they'll be in. So we need to lead with why. Speak to people's soul. See, and this is why we speak about like your values, what's important to you. Because when you lead with this stuff, then the how it's delivered and the what it is become irrelevant. Example that he uses of this is Apple. And they speak about we're for, and this when they first came out, they led with things like we're for the trailblazers, the unusual ones, the rebels, the rebel without a cause. And they spoke to people's identity and how they see themselves and how they find their tribe. They use those descriptions and what as a company they believed in. Like we believe in doing things differently. We believe in da 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 da. And so they were speaking to people's identity, how they then went about it to say like, here's how we're doing it. P.S. We've got this phone, want to buy it? And that difference of the why, the how, and then the what last is what has put them to be a market leading brand because their phones aren't the best on the market. Neither are their laptops. Their products are not the best on the market. But people still queue up to buy them, queue through the night, and every new product is sold out. And at the time of recording this, aren't they on like iPhone 17 or something crazy? And every new iteration will still be sold out. Even if people have bought all the iPhones before them, they'll still queue to get the next one because they're bought into the brand, not the product. Now, bringing this back into messaging, that's why, how, what. And so this is why it's so important to speak to this level of nuance, because when you speak to this level of nuance, people will be bought in not just for one thing, but for multiple things from you in the future, because they'll see that they are bought in. They get you on a relationship level, like they understand you on an identity level. They're not buying a product from you, they're coming in to be in your world. Yeah. And you're showing through messaging that you understand them on a soul level. And so the vehicle or the product or the offer or the service, the solution is, by the way, that's an afterthought. It's the journey. What you're showing is you understand the destination that they want to get to. You understand the holiday that they want to go on. The flight or the destination or like how they're getting there doesn't really matter. Yeah. So we want to show that level of depth, that level of understanding, that level of nuance. So describe the problem, but deeper. What is the biggest problem for your ideal client? How problem aware are they? I.e., if they have bad skin, but they don't know why they have bad skin, then your messaging needs to be showing them to speak to that level of awareness of if you've been finding that this is happening, but you don't know why, here's what's actually going on. Yeah, speak to the level of awareness that your buyer has. What do they think is going on? What have they already tried? This stuff is super, super powerful because when you get this, this is like a superpower that will unlock so much like freedom for a start, but so many sales, so much like customer understanding. Even for me, as someone that if I'm scrolling, don't like to make that a regular hobby, but if I'm scrolling, there's things that I've landed on before and I've seen one piece of content and it has shown me something about myself that I didn't know that might have been a problem that I hadn't voiced to anyone before, or symptoms that I was experiencing, but I got no idea where they were coming from. And that one piece of content was able to show me what was actually happening. And I've gone on and bought products because of that, because I've been like, huh, didn't know that. Let me look into that. So this is really, really powerful stuff. So talk to your ideal client's problem and the level of awareness that you have about that problem. Describe their lived reality. Why? So if they have bad skin, why do they have bad skin? As in, let's look at the symptoms. When you're inside my world, if I mastermind clients, we break this down to be the tangible and intangible things. This is where your messaging gold dust comes in. So I actually use a four square quadrant because it's got tangible versus intangible. We break those two things down, separate those. And on either side, we've got a before and we've got an after. If I want to before and after. And so you've got tangible, intangible, before, after on both things. Your before is what are the physical symptoms? This is under tangible. What are the physical symptoms and situational things that your ideal client is experiencing that they're aware of in their day-to-day, in their lived reality? So, for example, if I'm going to use the bad skin example, it might be that they are having regular breakouts. It might be that they wake up and there's more problem areas that have grown overnight and they seem to be just in certain areas and they don't understand why, and it's frustrating. It might be that they're noticing like a real outburst randomly spiking throughout the month, but they haven't been able to put it down to any one particular event or like food or habit, for example. It might be that they're noticing different patterns in the different types of spots. So let's say I'm like getting into the good stuff now. But that I don't know, some look more like a rash, whereas some look more like irritation. I'm just going to use my own because I've had really bad skin in the past. But I was really able to see when I was paying attention to what set it off. Firstly, it was hormonal, so I definitely was seeing that pattern, good old once a month pattern. But also I was seeing that from the type of spot that it was, I felt like it was something inside me. It was something that my skin was trying to express. And I was like, there's something that I'm doing in my daily routine that my skin is quite literally trying to cleanse my body of, and it's coming through my pores. So I didn't know what it was, but I could see the type of symptom that I was experiencing. So get through that tangible box. What are the physical things that your ideal client is experiencing? What does that look like in their day to day? On the intangible side, what emotions are those tangible things causing for them? So why, like, what are the feelings that they have because of those physical things that are happening? Is that they're frustrated? Is it that they're compare themselves to others because of it? Is it that they're overwhelmed because they've tried another five things that haven't worked yet? Is it that they get upset because of it, because this is a real problem and it's happening behind the scenes and it's really affecting things in their life? What are those intangible things, those mindset things, those feeling things that are happening to the person because of the physical things that they're experiencing? How is that showing up for them? How are they feeling about those things? So do that on the what is their current lived reality like right now? And then on the flip side, we've got the after, which is after they've worked with you and they've gained your solution, or they've gone through your process, or they've gone through your method, they've executed everything. What does life look like on that other side? Maybe this is at the end of, could be just an hour with you, but maybe it's the end of like your course, your method, your program, your mastermind, your 6 month service, whatever it is. What is happening for them? Think about this tangible side again. What are the situational things that are happening for them in their day to day? What does life look like? What is happening over there that it currently is not happening? What's either happening that isn't, or what's not happening that should be? And then on the intangible side, how is that changing how they feel about things now? How do they feel? What emotions are coming through? Are they excited? Are they, 10 times more confident? Do they wake up super happy? Do they well, I was going to say go to sleep more peacefully because this thing is solved, but that would actually be a tangible thing because sleep is like a quantifiable thing. So you catch my drift there. What is their lived reality on the tangible and intangible side? What things are happening versus how they feel about it? Um, and how are you demonstrating that you understand why those things are happening? What's causing it? The more that you can bring this into your content, into your messaging, into your sales pages, into your emails, you'll show that you understand your ideal client to a level of depth that either they know, but they've never spoken about, perhaps. They might not have even told their friends about it, or you know them better than they know themselves. Perhaps they don't know why certain things are happening. And it's on you to show through your messaging why those things are happening and to show that you can help them because of this level of nuanced understanding. Yeah. So, wrapping things up here, how to create messaging that takes people from just background lurking through to saying, send me the link. Speak to their deep desires or their deep fears. What are the things that they really want or they really want to move away from? Those will be linked in, those tangible and intangible things that we were just talking about. Their deep fears, what is keeping them up at night? What is either scaring them? What are they worried about? Those are the intangible things. And the deep desires is like, what do they really want? This should be the thing that your offer solves. What do they really want? Think about those three categories that we talked about: health, wealth, or happiness. What do they really want in one of those categories? Make it concise, get to the point. You shouldn't need to do whole paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs unless it's for a premium offer. But I still think use concise language. Get to the point, be direct. We don't need to use fluffy language. We want to convey certainty and conviction. Be clear about what the expected end result or outcome is that from working with you. Show your results and client case studies. The more social proof you use, the more authority you'll build just by talking about those live examples. So when looking at your positioning, your messaging, your authority, the more clients you're speaking about, the easier it is to build that instant trust and for people to come in and buy from you. But other little messaging hacks, use numbers to specify your messaging anywhere that you can use data. So numbers, and this could be like time, currency, number of things left, anywhere that you can use numbers adds so much more depth and nuance to your content and your messaging. So use numbers to bring specificity, whether it's like a number of hours achieved or saved, or a revenue amount, or the time that something took or that was done within weeks, months, years, number of spots available. Anywhere that you can use numbers will add so much more depth and nuance and meaning into your message. Whoop, 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 whoop. I hope that you have enjoyed this second live training on authority coming into messaging and positioning, how those two things, how your positioning weaved into your messaging, that deep understanding of your audience, how all of that seeps into everything that you do. The more that you become an expert in this area, the easier that premium sales will happen for you. This is the work that we do inside my masterminds of all levels, because there's people who have already made seven figures in their business, but are creating new scalable offers and working with clients in a different way. There's people who are earlier in business who are wanting to create something that's great from the get-go, really hone in and create this epic offer, and really position themselves as leaps ahead of the crowd. Equally, there's people who might be new into business but aren't new to that area, as in might have been in that industry or field for 30 years, but this is just the first time that they're breaking away from corporate and actually going and getting their own clients. And so there's really people of all different levels, but all of who want to be positioned ahead of the crowd, show their credible expertise from the get-go so that they can gain trust without having to like work hard for it. That trust is an instant built because of that clear authority. And so if you're someone that wants to speak to me about either of the mastermind, She Sells or She Scales, come speak to me. I'll put the links underneath here as well. But in the meantime, I shall see you inside session 3, kicking off at 6 p.m. UK time today, where we're going to be talking about your embodied leadership. I'll see you soon.